The two defensive coaches have to be pleased with those numbers. They have shut down the rushing game of the Giants, have the Broncos. Denver has had to pass the ball. That's what the Giants expected. And Elway's been a bit more successful, but unable to score a touchdown. And then in the turnovers, 2 each, the one big interception by George Martin, the defensive end that went for the game's only touchdown. And you kind of, that conjured up some bad thoughts on your part, some memories.
Dick, I was remembering a play in a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. We were lined up to kick a 1-yard field goal. I mean, literally on the 1-yard line. There's going to be an 8-yard field goal. And the ball was blocked, carried all the way to the other end of the field. It was a 10-point turnaround. Not quite as severe here, although the Broncos certainly appeared to be in position to score, and suddenly the ball goes the length of the field and the score is on the other team's scoreboard, and you say, wait a minute, it's not supposed to be this way. Totally emotionally turns you upside down.
And it wasn't just an ordinary return by an ordinary player, a big guy able to elude Elway and some others. George Martin, and he has established his own, even furthered his own NFL record, 6 touchdowns by a defensive player. That's 2 more than anyone else in NFL history.
Elway is going to try to get it to will height. And you said it early, Dick. That's a basketball athlete's move just to get his hands on that ball. Several good blocks to watch for. One right there. Couldn't see who it was on Lanier. But Elway has a chance to stop Martin right here. And Martin's just too big and strong. And usually a defensive lineman so excited about getting the ball will fall down at that point. There are a couple of blocks coming. You'll see one by Collins right there as he dives. He's lucky he didn't get a clip on that one, although he did not get on the back of the legs. And there was a second block just behind that. But Martin now will be swarmed, as you said, by his own teammates. This is the toughest part of the whole run.
Well, you can understand that emotion. And there's a rundown of the 7 career touchdowns. One of those, as you see the bottom, was on a pass where Martin lined up as a tight end and gathered in a 4-yard pass from Sims. But 6 were defensive touchdowns, and those represent an NFL record. Bob Lilly of the Dallas Cowboys had 4, and he remains in second place. So George Martin all alone in that category.
A lineman's dream, and I'm sure that's the kind of thing that will be pleasant for George Martin to remember and tell his grandkids about throughout the rest of his life.
Martin, whose younger brother Doug plays the same position, defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings. He had 10 sacks last year. He's the senior citizen, his 12th year with the Giants, 33 years old. Oh, he'll tell them all he was running about 9.4. He did make the big play, though, was the one-handed catch and the way he whirled upfield. He was the first step, got him 10 yards in front of the pack.
Well, and he showed some great balance, as we said, getting away from Elway. And usually in that situation, a quarterback just kind of has to interfere, and it's enough to take a defensive lineman down who's not used to running with that football. But Martin able to hold up through that particular encounter and get downfield. There are Elway's numbers on the day. And again, they're leaning heavily on John Elway, and Elway's percentages are good, but we mentioned that he has not been successful with touchdowns over the past few weeks. Only 2 in the last 5 weeks, and he has yet to have one in this game. Now we are waiting for the officials to kick it off. Apparently they are now ready. There's the stat I referred to, Dick, and we talked about it earlier in the game. Look at those dramatic stats for the first 6 games of the year, and those are not just Elway's stats. Those are team stats in a way, and Reeves was quick to point out yesterday, we're not giving John over the last few games the kind of help he needs.
Now, if you say 5 in the last 5.5 games, it's 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, counting the one by Martin. Carlos to kick it off. Second half underway. Solomon Miller, the rookie from Utah State. And the wide receivers out to the 25-yard line. So Phil Simms will bring on the offense. Simms, final word on the sidelines, and now the 8-year veteran from Morehead State of Kentucky. Grew up in Louisville, went to high school in Louisville. And he writes left-handed, and yet he's a right-handed passer. And highly competitive. He really admires Dan Fouts of the Chargers for that quality. And he's got the same fire inside. Morris 36 yards in the first half. Denver zeroing in on Joe, and he gets about 3 on that play.
Dick, my son Nathan, who's 13, writes left-handed, throws right-handed. Should I tell him that tees up to be a quarterback?
Well, no, I tell him what, stay with a right-handed, learn to hit left-handed.
Learn to hit left-handed.
Hit left-handed. And
either that or play golf. Certainly a dominant left hand. Playing right-handed is an advantage for a golfer.
Yeah, Brooks Robinson, he said the fact that he was a left-handed writer helped him with that glove hand. He felt that was his stronger hand. Hostetler, far right, the third-string quarterback. And it's to Bavaro's side, and the big tight end from Notre Dame can't make the catch. Steve Foley on the coverage. While we watch, there's Hostetler going back into the huddle. Bavaro from the other side, and Hostetler will go out. Yesterday, of course, Clarence Kay, the tight end for Denver, is regarded as one of the better blocking tight ends in the NFL. We asked Bill Parcells about it. He said Bavaro is 2 Clarence Kays. He is by far the best blocking tight end in the NFL. In fact, he says he's so good he could play defense for me right now. We'll keep an eye on him in the second half. Third down. Sims, plenty of room, and he has the first down across the 35-yard line. Finally run down by Freddie Gilbert after 9 yards.
Sims not quite as nifty as Elway, but never have we ever had a chance to doubt his courage. And he'll do anything he can to help his team win. In fact, has put his body on the line more times than you'd care to count. Injuries, a constant problem for him early in his career. But when he's healthy, he does things like this. He gets first downs. He gets touchdowns.
Made the Pro Bowl last year as the starting NFC quarterback and was voted the most valuable player. Morris, a little misdirection. And Hundley was able to get him from the side, or Morris had a lot of room to go. It's another Giant first down. Let's go in and look at that tight end, Bavaro.
We talked about his blocking just a moment ago, and of course, so crucial to have that big tight end who can take on those linebackers. Watch him now as he works on Jim Ryan. Gets position on Ryan to the outside and boxes him in, and then actually gets in the row to Rulon Jones to keep Rulon Jones from pursuing to the outside. So not only blocked his man, but also managed to get in the road of a second tackler.
Lines up on the left side this time. First down at the Giant 48. Morris. 40. 30. Joe Morris all the way to the 28-yard line. Louis Wright saved a touchdown. 24 yards for Joe Morris.
Morris only had 36 yards in the first half. He's probably equaled that already in a couple of quick bursts here in the second half. But I said at the beginning of the game, I felt that he was perhaps the edge for the Giants. That didn't prove to be true in the first half, but so far he's showing you why he is so important to them here in the second half.
Leading 10-6 early in the third quarter. The Giants, using Joe Morris, have driven deep. It's Morris again. And Tom Jackson's penetration slowed that play, and Morris has to settle for 3.
Denver, an aggressive, slanting kind of defense. And if Morris can get up into the area in which those people are slanting left and right, he can use his good vision and his quick acceleration to run through some of those arm tackles. On that play, though, he had to make his decision so far in the backfield that there was no chance for him.
Morris now with 76 yards rushing. That puts him over 1,100 for the year. He comes in second only to Eric Dickerson of the Rams. Number 71, Greg Cragen, the nose tackle. No one seemed to block him, and Morris has to settle for a 2-yard gain.
Sometimes you can go around and do things the back door. Cragen, the nose tackle, watch him here. Now they're expecting to block him by coming out this way. He'll simply run around the block, which is not the way you're supposed to do it, but the results are great. Watch him as he slides around the block by the center, Bart Oates, and is just waiting there with open arms to greet Joe Morris.
Ball at the 24-yard line. 3rd down and 6. Caught in the backfield is Galbraith. They bring in Galbraith, and the defense immediately thinks pass because he is such an outstanding receiver. That's twice now they've handed off to him, and not fooled a bit was Freddie Gilbert from Georgia.
And with that quick burst downfield, again, you see what a good defense can do. They get you down there and they shut you down. Raul Allegre, who had a career last week with those 5 field goals, and the winner in the final seconds, will now get an opportunity to kick one that's just beyond the 45-yard mark.
He's got it. So Allegre, who hit one 31 yards in the second quarter, nails one from 45, and the Giants open a 13-6 lead. From Giants Stadium, today's game is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth. We are working together to be the best. By the Stanley Works. Stanley helps you do things right. And by Midas, for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Trust the Midas touch. With Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg at Giants Stadium. Unusually warm late November afternoon, around 50 degrees. In fact, they think we might have some rain later this afternoon, hopefully after game. This game is over. 9:46 left. Third quarter. The Giants now lead by 7, 13-6. Allegre's kick, a sidewinder that will kick out of bounds. So they'll send that one back 5. What they like about Allegre, who has had a couple of shots, he was picked off as a free agent by Dallas, then traded to the Colts for a number 9 by the Cowboys, and then available to the Giants. That not only has he shown a good, powerful leg, Bill Parcells says a good athlete, and he's able to place his kickoffs where we want them, down deep, tuck them into that corner, or makes it so difficult for that return man. Do I step out of bounds? Do I try to field this one? And that was what he was trying to accomplish on that kick.
Do you think Parcells is tired of looking at kickers? He's the 4th roster kicker of the year, and you got to guess at how many they have seen, aside from those that have been on the roster.
So they bring it back to the 30-yard line. The Giants, 2 tough ones staring at them after this one. Next week they go to San Francisco, and 2 weeks from today at home against the Redskins. Denver, meanwhile, will play Cincinnati at home next week. Ken Bell. Oh! It was a human missile out to the 29-yard line as Lee Rusan made the hit.
Youngsters have got to have a chance on special teams. Number 22, watch him. He'll just dive at the last second, throw himself in there, and just get enough of Bell's leg to trip him up. Right there, just hooks that inside foot, and the foot goes around behind, and Bell goes down. Fine special teams play.
Give you a feeling of the speed of that play from Rusan's hit to where Bell finally hit the turf was about 9 yards. Trailing by 7, the Broncos' first possession of the second half. Elway going deep to Jackson, almost intercepted. Mark Collins, the rookie from Cal State Fullerton, was there. Well, here's our lineup on Thursday for our Thanksgiving special. NFL 86 and host Bob Costas, Frank DeFord, Mark Bonaconti, son of the former famous linebacker of the Dolphins, who is paralyzed from a football injury. A very touching story there. Ahmad Rashad and Roger Staubach's Thanksgiving memories. Roger Staubach, still the old-time cowboy in terms of popularity, and Paul McGuire and his romance with the New York Jets. That continues. Then it's Seattle and Dallas. Flag goes down. You heard someone on the sideline say offside, and the pass intended for Winder is awry.
Clarence Kay, number 88, blew the count up early. New York with a choice now, taking the down or the 5 yards.
There's Kay, top of your screen, 88. He saw Marshall move his hand, and then he reacted to the defensive player.
Number 88, penalty is
They'll decline it.
It's third down.
Third down and 10 for Denver. Watson left. Vance Johnson slotted left. Mark Jackson, number 80, to the right. Good protection for Elway, who drills it to Mobley, and that big tight end has a first down at the 42-yard line. What a target he is. Bears 9-0 over Green Bay. Cincinnati hanging on to a 1-point advantage in the third. Pittsburgh trails Cleveland by a touchdown. Cleveland and Cincinnati, of course, tied for first in the Central. New England 15-3. 17-3 the Oilers. Detroit pounding on Tampa Bay 28-10. Those are all the other early games. And here the Giants on a 78-yard interception return for a touchdown by defensive end George Martin. The only touchdown of this game. First down at the 42. Elway throws to Mobley again, and he has a first down at the Giant 40-yard line. Kenny Hill and company wrestling him down. Hill, a former Raider. I saw you talking with Hill yesterday, the former Yale star.
I asked him, I said, how many ex-Raiders are starting in the NFL? And he just gave me a blank look. He said, are there any other ones? And I said, I don't think so. Unusual for the Raiders to let someone get away with his talent, but he certainly has fit in here and become a very important part of this Giant defense.
Came over here 2 years ago for a number 7 draft pick. First down just outside the Giant 40. Mobley has caught 2 straight passes in motion, and a flag goes down as Taylor drops Lang.
Dick, the Broncos incorporating 3 tight ends on that play. Lawrence Taylor had moved across to the left side, must have taken a crack to the skull as he is a little wobbly getting up, tapping his shoulder, perhaps a pinched nerve. But the Broncos incorporating 3 tight ends, trying to control that football, trying to get a running game going.
Illegal hands, number 64 defense, first down.
Jim Burt, illegal use of the hands on defense. He may have gotten his hand up inside a mask or up into the face of the blocker. 7:45 left in the third quarter. Let's check elsewhere. NFL 86.
All right, Dick, in Houston, remember Mike Rozier, former Heisman Trophy winner out of Nebraska? Well, here he gets jammed up on the sidelines, decides to cut a new route, and then shakes and bakes his way 19 yards to the end zone. 17-3 Houston, third quarter.
All right, Ahmad here after the penalty. First down for the Broncos at the 33 of the Giants. Elway has a man wide open. It's Mobley again. He fumbles, and the Giants have it. George Martin again. A flag is down back where Elway threw the ball, but it's against Denver. So the Giants decline. Giants get it back. The omnipresent George Martin gathers the pumpkin again.
Holding, number 60 offense. Penalties decline. First down.
Orson Mobley came in motion to the inside and then went back outside. Heads down the sideline. There's an assignment blown there as Mark Collins, the rookie, didn't see him stop until it was too late. But watch the ball bounce away here. Good hit on the inside by Carson, 53. That ball already gone. And there's faithful George with his hands on it.
Well, it was Harry Carson who forced the fumble, nailing that man, Orson Mobley. And then Martin recovers. Turnovers have beaten the Broncos the only 2 times they have lost this year. They have been in the minus column in the turnover table.
Oh, how it feels good to be in the right place at the right time.
Second and 8. And Carl Mecklenburg there to make the play as Morris was bobbling the ball.
Not only bobbled it, but left it hanging in the air. Had a Bronco been closer, that could have been 7 for the Broncos. Carl Mecklenburg, we have not heard his name as many times today. In fact, both of our 2 defensive stars, Mecklenburg and Lawrence Taylor, and of course you know they are marked men by the offenses, but there's the bobble that I mentioned. And had Louis Wright been a step closer, he might have scooped that ball and taken it for the touchdown. But both teams have done a good job of controlling the big guns on the other team defensively, but not the defense.
Sims has thrown the ball only 10 times in this game. There's the 11th, and the closest man was Stacy Robinson, but Sims was unloading as Freddie Gilbert, who's become a fine pass pressure, was there again. Taylor is still hurting. It's his shoulder.
Well, we had a chance to talk to Eric Dickerson, and this is the way he felt about Lawrence Taylor. He said, hey, if you've never been tackled by LT, don't feel bad about it. He said, believe me, there are better things you can do with your time. Well, he has put some hurt on some people, and that's probably one of the reasons he's got a bad shoulder.
Landetta facing 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Another good solid kick to Wilhite, who has to drift back to the 26. And Wilhite is drilled at the 33-yard line, and a flag goes down. Zeke Moat, the backup tight end, made the tackle. 49 yards for Landetta. 9 yards on the return. And let's check the penalty. Against the Broncos. That'll cost them 10 back. Six minutes and 12 seconds remain in the third quarter here at Giant Stadium.
Number 22 on a receiving team. First down.
Denver will have the ball when we return from the Bronco 23-yard line. The Broncos defense able to recover from Orson Mobley's fumble, but it's still the Giants 13-6. Well, the new hometown for George Martin is right here at the Meadowlands. He's been the big play performer for the Giants, who lead 13-6. And here's the strong arm of Elway going to work. Oh, Carl Banks, and he'll pick up the penalty. That was very close to being another Giant touchdown, as he was all over Clarence Kay. And if Elway's throw had been a little short, Banks had 6.
But Elway, of course, putting that where it couldn't be intercepted. And Banks there with an arm over the top before the ball arrived. You'll see him from the inside reaching the receiver right there with the bump, and you're not allowed to go through the man to touch the football. The penalty will give a first down to the Denver Broncos. Dick, you talked earlier about Reeves's philosophy of combining turnovers and what he calls traps or sacks. He said in the 2 games we've been negative, we have lost. Of course, that's the Jets game and the San Diego game. They're a -2 in that ratio right now.
They get a first down on the penalty, even though it's a 1-yard penalty. Elway, 30, 35, 36 or 7, depending on where they spot. Oh, they're going to only give it to the 35-yard line. A first down nevertheless. It's where the ball is when his bottom hits the ground.
He's got a lot of yards.
Elway is the leading Denver rusher with those 29 yards. That tells you the kind of tough Giant defense against the run. In fact, the best that anyone has done against the Giants all year was Darren Nelson, 68 yards last week up in Minnesota. Winder into the arms of Harry Carson at the 39-yard line. 3-yard gain.
You look down on that field and down in the trenches where the big men work so hard and very often are ignored. Keith Bishop out of the lineup a number of weeks with a bad knee. They knew that they had to have him in there today. Number 54, left guard. And of course he's important because he's over there where they're blocking out on Marshall and Taylor. In there with a bad knee, has been doing his job well all day long.
They pick up the blitz and they go long to Watson. Little bumping with Terry Williams. Terry Kennard was there as well, and Watson could not have caught the ball. It was about 7 yards downfield. Watson, who has only 26 catches coming into this game this year from Temple, and his football model was Raymond Berry. had 61 catches last year, so he's well under his production of a season ago. 3rd and 7. Watson way out to the right with Jackson left. Elway in the shotgun. Taylor unable to get to Elway, so Elway's going to scramble again. And out of bounds with a first down at the Giant 47. 15 more yards for Elway. Well, it's that mobility and agility along with that rifle arm that makes Elway perhaps now the most feared quarterback in the NFL. He can get you the big play.
He certainly can, Dick. When he's scrambling, finally got Lawrence Taylor to talk about him. He's the best there is. We have to keep him in the pocket, put a lot of pressure on him. Well, the Giants have tried it both ways. They have tried to control him in the pocket. He has hurt them from the pocket, and he's also hurt them when they've tried to flush him out of the pocket and have him chased down.
Yeah, Taylor was dogging on that last play, but they blocked him wide, and Elway ran inside on him. Here he comes again. Mobley has a first down inside the third. Check that, Clarence Kay, not Mobley, with Terry Kennard making the tackle. So Kay gets a rare catch. You don't expect him to be around the ball. That's only his 13th catch of the year.
Elway nose to nose with Lawrence Taylor as LT was dogging him on that play, sliding across with him, and Elway just rifled it on the run as he moved to his right.
Let's watch Lawrence Taylor, Merlin, as he comes out of that defensive huddle and lines up, and just see whether or not he might be. Taylor now takes a wide split as if he's going to check Jackson, the slot man. And now they bring Mobley over to that side. And here comes Taylor. Underneath they go to Vance Johnson to the 28-yard line. Now, those are the little things that are so intriguing. It's much like baseball, and as we watch the World Series, Garagiola's game within a game. There's Taylor out there as if he's going to play the receiver.
Delayed blitz. And Elway, you think Elway knows he's coming? Watch him here. That's a little bullfighter, a little El Toro there. But Elway able to get that ball off in time. The Giants, of course, love to blitz Lawrence Taylor. There's not a linebacker in football who blitzes with the effectiveness of a Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, and he plays so hard on every down. Here he comes again. Elway has a man open, but can't find Johnson. Jim Burt finally breaking through that protective pocket. But Taylor attracted at least 2 blockers himself.
But you got to put big man on big man over there. That means you don't leave Taylor for one of your running backs to pick up. Usually you'll slide your tackle out, slide your guard out, try and get one of those big men out there to get in front of him, and then tell those linebackers, hey, if they're coming up the middle, you take one of the little guys.
3rd and 5. Actually, Gene Lang was knocked down by his own man, so they'll allow that gain to the 25. It'll still be short of a first down. Giants want the ball marked back, but Lang fell down over his own man, or so it appeared.
Little shovel pass there as Elway will take it and just flip it inside to make it look like the pass rush. They get Martin upfield, and there's the hit right there. Now, if Lang is not touched by a defensive man before he's up, he's a legitimate runner at that point, and he was indeed up before they touched him. So he's entitled to the yardage, and Carlos will get another chance.
4th and about 1.5 yards. So Carlos, his 4th field goal attempt. He's made 2 of 3. This is 42 yards. Can't hit it any better than that. So the Denver offense is 3 Carlos field goals, 32, 40, and 42. Timeout. A measure of the toughness of these 2 defensive teams. The offense has not as yet scored a touchdown on either side. 13-9. 2 Giant field goals and Martin's 78-yard interception return, and 3 field goals by Carlos, who puts it in play. And he really drills this one.
That one.
McConkey will have to take it at the 20 with a timeout. 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining in the third quarter here at Giants Stadium, where the Giants lead 13-9. Welcome back to Giants Stadium. The Marshall run, or the run, I was thinking about Jim Marshall running the wrong way, and the touchdown today, and the fact that you had a long, was it a fumble recovery or an interception?
Fumble recovery.
But there was another
yards.
75 in the picture that day.
Deacon Jones is running along beside me, much like this scene, with his hands out saying, lateral, lateral, lateral. All he has to do is throw one block, and I got a touchdown. He's saying, lateral, lateral, lateral. All the way down the field.
You've never forgiven him.
I've never forgiven him. Never forgiven him. I still remember it.
So Deacon Jones, he wanted the 6. And Merlin Olsen instead gets knocked down after a long run. Yeah, today, not the case. George Martin, 78 yards for the score. Phil Simms goes to work. Deep downfield, and a flag intercepted by Foley. And Foley gets to the 44-yard line. That's an interesting call. The ball would not have been catchable.
We've got a Steve Wilson interference call downfield, and I think it's going to be marked as a completion. Receiver breaking open was pushed by Wilson at the last minute, and I think that one is just going to be carried back.
Pass interference. Number 45 defense. First down.
I think Dan Reeves was saying there's no way in the world that even with that push the ball could have been caught. It was about 10 yards to the other side and intercepted easily by Foley.
He may be right about that, but the ball was way downfield when the push occurred, and I don't think the official could see whether that ball was thrown into the area or not. It happened early.
First down at the 48 of Denver. Joe Morris. Mecklenburg slows him down, and Dennis Smith gets him out of bounds at the 42.
Yeah, we've talked about the fact that Carl Mecklenburg moves around a great deal on that Denver defense. In fact, can play any of 7 positions, all 4 down positions and 4 linebacking positions and 3 front positions, and if they go to a 4-man line, can jump into any of those line positions. That puts a strain on the other players. They have to learn when they have to move other positions as well. It takes a lot of unselfishness, a lot of mental discipline on defense.
Morrison, he's drilled by Tom Jackson. Jackson, the oldest linebacker in the NFL by a week or so. In his 14th season, the 35-year-old veteran from University of Louisville.
Maurice Carthen trying to get at Jackson's feet, but Jackson just off too quickly. Watch Carthen go at number 57. Jackson right here sees him coming in, throws himself in there, but Jackson just throws his body in and sweeps the legs out from underneath Joe Morris.
Third down and 7. Simms working on Steve Wilson. They tried to go to Bobby Johnson, and Wilson just enough to deny that long gainer.
Again, part of the kaleidoscope of the Denver defense. Watch the stunning now inside as they try and get pressure on the quarterback. You'll see it here as Rulon Jones waits for Simon Fletcher to clear and then breaks to the outside.
Now the punt by Landeta. Is it down? No, he was in the end zone when he touched the ball, is the ruling. So it'll come out to the 20-yard line. Lasker, the rookie, it was the first man down again, and a flag is also down.
Well, if that penalty is against the coverage team, then they will probably refuse it.
Illegal member of the kicking team is downfield. Number 22, penalty is declined. It's first down.
Tom Dooley, the referee, and the ball touched in the end zone. Gives it to there's Lee Roussan, against whom the call went. And here's the end of the play.
Now he can jump into that end zone and kick the ball back, but I think what they said, he'd already stepped into the end zone, so it wasn't a question whether his feet had come down yet. Now they're saying someone moved. Was he in a three-point stance? If he's gone to a three-point stance, Studdard is not allowed to lift that hand. Giants claiming he was down in the three-point stance. The official asking at this point. Of course, this is something that's not subject to the review of the replay officials, but
the ball is already at the 15-yard line. Who moved it there? It's already been done.
Disregard the flag. There is no foul.
Well, I think he may have gotten away with one. I think his hand was down, and he lifted up. And, of course, if he does that, it's an automatic penalty. But you can't call what you didn't see on it. And, of course, if you're in a two-point stance, you are allowed to move, and it's legal.
You see the final seconds remaining in the third quarter. 13-9, the Giants lead. First down from the 20. Check that winder into the arms of big Jim Byrd at the 22-yard line. And that probably the last play of the quarter. Now, if the Giants had reacted and made contact, then maybe they would have gotten the 5 yards.
Reacting to his movement. But if they're a little bit late, then they would be called for encroachment. It's a lot of different things that can happen in that situation.
So through 3 quarters this afternoon, neither team able to get that offensive touchdown. It's 13-9 Giants. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. John Elway's passing keeps the Broncos ahead in that department by over 100 yards, total yards. But it's the pass interception by defensive lineman George Martin that's the difference. 13-9 as we open the fourth quarter. Elway going long to Mobley. And Kennard did a good job of just getting in the area and forcing Mobley to make a little quicker cut than he wanted. Still in the third quarter, Chicago actually getting a safety and Gentry recovering a block punt in the end zone. Cincinnati by 4. Cleveland by 7. In the fourth quarter, other fourth quarter scores. New England's lead cut to 9. Houston big. Detroit by 2 touchdowns. We welcome those of you who have been watching Houston and Indianapolis. We understand there have been some technical difficulties. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen in Giants Stadium. This is the third down play for John Elway and the Broncos. They trail the Giants, and Elway goes down at the 18. Greg Lasker, number 46.
Lasker had come blitzing in from the outside. Elway could not find the open receiver. Tried to dog it up inside, as he has done so many times today. You mentioned earlier he's still the leading rusher for this Bronco team today, but no yardage there. They'll have to kick it away.
Was not in my viewfinder.
Chris Norman. 2 fairly short kicks in his 2 attempts in the first half. Phil McConkey at the Giant 45. 10 men on the line of scrimmage. And a soft kick off to the right. McConkey, fair catch at the 43 of Denver. So the problems for Chris Norman continue. 14 minutes plus remaining. And it's the Giants 13-9. From Giant Stadium, today's game is brought to you by the heartbeat of America. Today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by GMAC, the financial services people from General Motors. Short 24-yard punt by Chris Norman, and the Giants start from the Denver 43 with a 13-9 lead. Sims play action. Sidewinds it to Morris. And Hundley able to bring him down by an ankle at the 39, a gain of 4.
Good, strong play by Ricky Hundley, as Sims had a long time. Boy, you don't want to see a quarterback stand there that long and let those receivers run. Secondary mostly in man-to-man for the Broncos. The reason for that is that they want to keep those safeties free to come up into the running game. So they're putting a lot of pressure on their cornerbacks and on their linebackers, usually covering man-to-man today.
2nd and 6. Johnson in motion. Sims again. Incomplete and almost intercepted as Carthen, as he went down, the ball plopping up almost to Tony Lilly's grasp, and he was headed the other way.
I think that ball may have touched the ground, so it might not have been an interception. Let's look at the end of it. You watch that ball go down. Does it touch the ground? I believe it did. I believe it popped off the ground, but not able to see it from there. That's one we would have had to look at from several angles.
3rd down.
What a big play here. Bronco defense trying to shut down a good opportunity for Sims to get some cushion on the board.
Giants are 2 of 10. They were the first 2 third downs of the game for them. They make this one. Phil McConkey. Mike Harden with a tackle. 1st down at the 31.
Dick, we shouldn't have been surprised to see the low-scoring nature of this game, and we set the battle that way initially. Neither of these teams has let an opponent score more than 20 points, except for the one game that the Jets put 22 on the board against the Broncos here in the Meadowlands, except for the opening games of the season.
Joe Morris rattles off an 8-yard gain, and he has now moved into the top 6 rushers all time in Giants history. Alex Webster, that big horse of a fullback for the Giants. Ron Johnson, who had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons, but they were not successive. Morris is the only one to do that in Giant history. Frank Gifford 3rd, Doug Kotar 4th, Eddie Price, Joe Morris. Sure, Frank down in Miami appreciates the remembrance. Nice thing about records, it allows us to stir up memories of those stars of the past. Maurice Carthen appears to have a 1st down at the Denver 20-yard line.
Some of those names remind me of the only other season in which the Giants have gotten off to this good a start. 1962, they went 12-2, went on to lose the championship game.
You were a rookie that year.
I was a rookie, my first year. There are some of those names. Of course, Gifford was a part of that team, the great Y.A. Tittle. I played against Jack Stroud. We didn't lose to them that year.
You didn't? I thought you lost to everybody.
Well, we didn't play them in the regular season. We lost to them in the preseason, so we weren't part of that record.
Leading 13-9. Sims looking for 6. Flag down, and what a remarkable play by Harden, the corner man from Michigan, turning just in time to deflect that pass. Now we'll check the yellow flag.
Official talking to Bavaro, who was blocking one-on-one on Mecklenburg on that play.
And let's see what happened. Look at number 89, Mark Bavaro, the 2nd-year tight end.
Well, I'd say that's a battle of a couple of horses. You talk about physical players. Quickness. Mecklenburg could be a tight end.
Illegal use of hands. 89 offense. 1st down.
Here's Bavaro, 89. I'm watching Mecklenburg trying to go inside on him, off very quickly. And Mecklenburg's game is a speed game. Watch Bavaro here go to the back of the legs and just drag him down. That's a little bit illegal. Well, you can't criticize a kid for trying, and he wasn't really hooking him. He just tackled him.
1st and 20 from the 30. Morris, 8 yards as he approaches the 100-yard mark. Jim Ryan, number 50, gets a call. Let's go back to that matchup, Bavaro and Mecklenburg.
I asked Mecklenburg, you like to play on artificial turf? He said, I'm better on artificial turf because it's a game of quickness on artificial turf. Well, he didn't get much done on that play except to close it off from the outside, but somebody has got to make that play inside. Broncos, I think, thinking pass, crossed up as the Giants ran the football. Long yardage here. Let's see if they do go to the pass.
2nd and 12 and a half. Fake to Morris. And no one even in the area as Rulon Jones came in on Sims, and no flag.
So late that I don't think Rulon was trying to get him. I think he may have been pushed in there at the last second. Although Rulon is a wild pass rusher, he's not the kind of guy that very often is called for a late hit on the quarterback. Maybe we can see what happened. The official who watched it all the way did not throw the flag, so it must have been something other than what it seemed from here.
You're looking at number 2 in the league in sacks. Rulon Jones with 13.5. Lawrence Taylor is first, 16.5.
There's the end of that play. Let's see if we can see what happened to Rulon Jones. He's not even in the picture yet. Well, they're lined up. We better go down to the live action.
That was him going over the top.
All right.
3rd and 13. Sims double pumps in the grasp and down with a sack, and I believe that's the first of the day. Simon Fletcher gets the first Denver sack of the afternoon.
We've talked about the offensive line of the Denver Broncos playing with some injuries. We certainly better give some credit to that big front line of the New York Giants for protecting Sims so well on the day. Although the running game has also helped in that department. Sims trying to pull it down there, pumps twice. Well, you don't usually get 3 opportunities in this league, and they said he was down at that point.
47-yard attempt by Raul Alegre. He's hit one from 45 his last time, and earlier from 31. The Giants lead by 7. Allegre continues his excellent field goal kicking. 3 for 3 today. And with 10:07 left, it's 16-9 New York. Ten minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Elway and Sims, the 2 quarterbacks, they were the marked men by these 2 defenses, who have held both in check, although Elway has better passing yardage. Gene Lang high stepping out to the 34-yard line. Good return by the former LSU runner. Terry Kennard made the tackle, number 43.
Of course, that big turnover touchdown, which still marks the exact difference in this game, but that difference only one big play away for Elway, and you better believe that the Giants and their defense in particular are well aware of that.
Bob Lilly and George Martin were at one time tied with 4 defensive touchdowns. Now Martin erasing the All-Pro Cowboy off the list. 6 defensive touchdowns plus another as a tight end. Elway eludes Martin that time. Carl Banks throws up a roadblock at the 40-yard line. 7-yard gain.
Battle inside on the nose. Billy Bryant, the center, is going to work on Jim Burt. Now watch Burt working back to the inside. Bryant will lock up to him right here. And as Burt tries to get by, take it back, he comes over, taps him. As Burt tries to get by there, he'll push him to the ground and take him down. That's Freeman, Mike Freeman, 64, rather than Bryant, 54. Elway taking advantage of his great quickness as he gets outside.
Elway's 48 yards rushing, the top total for a Denver player. Winder has only 18. 2nd and 3. Winder's turn. Oh, a good open field tackle by Perry Williams, the right cornerback from North Carolina State. He makes his home in Hamlet, North Carolina. That just conjures up an image, doesn't it? Down in Hamlet. Going to be close to a first down, and apparently they will measure. Denver, if it is a third down, is 6 of 13 today. Bill Parcells' Giants have had a lesser percentage, despite the fact they started out 2 for 2 plus a fourth down conversion on the opening drive of the game.
Dick, I think I may have said that 64 was not Billy Bryant. Of course, 64 is Billy Bryant. I better get that in here. As you look at the shortage, we've got 2 marked that way today. One earlier one. And of course, the Giants elected to go for it on a little razzle-dazzle.
So that was that fourth down play where they sent Landeta, the punter, in motion and ran for the first down. Reminder coming up with this big Thanksgiving holiday ahead, the Skins game. Oh, how that's grown tremendous popularity in such a short amount of time. The players are Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Fuzzy Zeller, and Lee Trevino. With that money building up in every hole. 3:30 on Saturday for the 1986 edition. We hope you join us here on NBC Sports.
3rd and about 2 inches to go.
Giants really punch it in close, shoulder to shoulder. Elway just wedging ahead and has the first down easily. It's not a good statistic, but Elway has matched his career high in rushing in a game, 49 yards. Make that 50. This is his best.
Elway saying, come on, get those plays into me. Mike Shanahan will send them down, and it'll be signaled out. Dan Reeves also, of course, calling the plays, and he is talking to Shanahan, who's upstairs, to relay information to him. But they usually have their plays on that sheet in his hand.
Elway drilling it to Gerald Wilhite, who slides out of bounds at the 42. He's football's answer to Lonnie Smith. He just has trouble staying on his feet. He's got great speed and a former gymnast, and even on that touchdown last week at 70, there were a couple times he admitted he thought he was going down. Wilhite, who leads the Broncos in pass receptions with 39 catches coming in, has positioned them at the 42 with the first down.
Reeves has made his decision. The play has gone into Elway, and Elway apparently concerned about the time, and oh, you don't want to give up those timeouts. 8 seconds on the clock. Elway didn't feel he had time to get it going.
And Reeves is most unhappy that they've used one of those 3 precious timeouts. Giants lead by 7. First down, Denver at the Giant 42 with 8.5 minutes remaining. Screen, and Wilhite dropped after about a yard gain, maybe 2, depending on the spot. Let's look at what's this will complete 3/4 of the season. 4 games to go. The Broncos' combined record of opponents 28-16 at home against Cincinnati, at Kansas City, home against the Redskins. What a game that'll be. Then at Seattle. We'll have that one on the final Saturday of the season. The playoff picture looks this way. These are the best records. The Raiders, by winning on Thursday night, are a game and a half behind Denver. So if Denver should lose, they have only a game lead on the Raiders, and Dan Reeves talked about that yesterday, although they've beaten the Raiders both times, so it's more than a 1-game lead. Down the middle, open, and it's intercepted. Kennard, and Mobley makes the tackle at the 30-yard line. So Mobley was wide open, but Elway overshot the mark.
I think probably Terry Kennard would certainly be pronounced an all-pro on the season if he could always get that ball in his hands and catch it. He's dropped a lot of opportunities on the year, but he did not drop that one. Boy, the center fielder loves to see that one coming down the middle.
4th interception of the year. First down, Giants at their own 30, and they give it to Joe Morris. And he has a first down. Out of bounds at the 44.
Elway, such a competitive quarterback. The minute that ball left his hands, I think he knew it was going to be at least touched by the defense. but didn't know whether it would be intercepted until you get the feeling there. And oh, he hates that. Every quarterback does, but I think the competitive one's the worst.
Again, the drought continues. Only 2 touchdowns in the last 6 games. 2 interceptions today, and 1 went for a touchdown the other way. George Martin, 78 yards. Sims, and down he goes. Carl Mecklenburg's first sack of the game, his 8.5 on the year. Other scores as we're close to the final gun and some of the other action. Bears see Green Bay kick a field goal by Del Greco. Cincinnati hanging on to the 4-point lead, and boy, Pittsburgh is improving here in the second half of the year, giving Cleveland trouble. First final down on the bottom. Detroit beats Tampa Bay 38-17. Houston apparent winner, and Buffalo making things tight at Foxborough 15-12. New England. 11-yard loss on Mecklenburg's sack of Sims. 2nd and 21. Joe Morris hit in the backfield. Knifing through was Freddie Gilbert. And this young man who played 3 years with the New Jersey Generals in the USFL on this home field, he's becoming more and more prominent in that Denver defense.
Second time we've seen him make big plays where he's broken clean on the inside and been able to take the runner right off his feet. You still see Elway pacing that sideline, frustrated. Well, defense playing well enough now to give him another opportunity, and we said it, he's only 1 play away, but right now New York would like to keep this drive alive with a 3rd and miles.
24. Wide open, Galbraith, and he's wrestled down by Ken Woodard. Tony Galbraith gets 7 yards, his first catch today, 25th of the year. He started the season with 431 more than any NFL running back in history.
You wonder why they throw that kind of pass. Well, Bill Parcells, again, we said, is a conservative coach. He knows he has a defense that's not allowed a touchdown on the day. He's putting the pressure on them right now. He's getting a little yardage from which to punt. He's saying put it out inside of their 20 and let's let our defense go to work.
Huge difference between Landetta's punting for the Giants and Norman's rather soft kicking for Denver. They'll let that clock run down. It's down to 5:40. Only 8 seconds now on the 30-second clock. So they're going to spend all the time they can.
3. Now it goes. 2 seconds.
Wobbly boot,
but a long one.
Wilhite at the 17 and out to the 27-yard line, a 10-yard return. Even when Landetta doesn't hit it cleanly with a perfect spiral, he drives the ball 46 yards. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting our Budweiser Most Valuable Player at the conclusion of today's game. Let's take a look at the Giants' remaining 4 at San Francisco, at Washington. Then they finish at home with 2 teams they figure to beat, St. Louis and Green Bay.
Those teams are at opposite ends of the spectrum, the first 2 and the last 2.
That's the NFC picture. Big battle will be between Dallas and whichever team finishes second in the West. Rams or 49ers, or even New Orleans now. Elway gets away from Taylor and steps out of bounds at the 29. Boy, that was an exciting duel. You saw Lawrence Taylor right where he wants the quarterback, and Lawrence talking to himself, I had him, but Elway able to kick free and scrambles for 3 more.
Taylor's such a powerful man. He does not miss many tackles like this unless he's trying to hurt somebody, and he wasn't trying to hurt Elway. He's just trying to get him down on that particular play. But that's the second time today that Elway has run out of his grasp and managed to, on the last time, to make a first down, on this just to make a couple of yards.
Actually, they say technically or officially only 1 yard, although it's about 1.5 yards. Here comes Taylor again. The throw underneath to Wilhite, who has a first down at the 39. Gary Reasons from Northwest Louisiana State, the tackler. And Wilhite limping as he gets up.
You might wonder why Elway is not getting the ball deeper downfield. The Giants usually keep 2 safeties deep, or at least have 2 men deep at all times, and that makes it tough to head down the middle. It's easier to work the corners on them, to work the outs on them. They usually end up with at least 1 safety and very often 2 safeties deep.
Ooh. Winder paying the price, about 10 yards. Reasons and Williams make the tackle, and Winder not getting up. He really got sandwiched on that hit and was in a position where had to absorb the entire blow, and that's the penalty of having your back to the defense looking to the quarterback. And the way they rushed out there makes you a bit concerned.
Winder with the ball here. Again, the hit from one side and the other.
And Williams actually in his tackle going right up through the face mask.
It appeared that Winder may have been unconscious before he hit the ground. Hard to understand why he did not let go of that football, but he did not. They're motioning, I think, quickly for someone to come, and I would expect that they would have doctors from both sides of the field and perhaps a stabilizing board out there shortly. No, he's easing up. He's sitting up. That's a good sign. Checking a feeling in his hands, and what has become, unfortunately, an all too familiar sight of late. That's a good sign. He apparently is up and talking. You see the shot, and it was a tough one, but Winder is on his feet. Yeah. People often ask me, Dick, are you sorry you're not down there on the field? No, I'm glad I'm up here in the booth.
Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WNBC TV, New York.
Look at Winder. I want to ask you a question about the face mask and the helmet itself, Merlin, after this play. Second down and inches. Watson in motion at the Denver 49. Play action. Elway down the middle. Wide open is Watson. First down at the 25-yard line. Terry Kennard made the tackle, and the Broncos down by 7 are driving deep.
Here's the man that Watson is ultimately going to beat. You'll see him go out of your picture, and Watson will come down and cut to the inside. He'll have room inside here as he gets down. They've driven the safeties off. Again, the safety's saying we don't want to be beaten deep. But what they did here is to leave enough room for Elway to get it over the linebackers. And the safety way back. That's Kennard, 43. And Watson makes that big grab on the 25.5 yard line.
3 minutes and 14 seconds remaining. 16-9, the Giants lead. Elway and the Broncos looking for a tying score. Incomplete and no flag. Lawrence Taylor saying he intentionally downed the ball.
Interesting call as Elway started to throw. Looked like he kind of half let that ball go. A quarterback has to be a good actor to avoid those intentional grounding calls.
Here it is 16-9 as you check other action. 2nd and 10 at the Giant 25-yard line. Winder, blow to the head. It is not serious, is the report from downstairs. Lang has replaced him. Wilhite to the 19, a gain of 6. Carl Banks made the tackle. 3rd and 4. 2:53 left.
Interesting to anticipate what happens, Dick, if they don't get the first down here with 2:47, 2:46 on the clock in a day when you haven't had that many shots at the Giant end zone. Would you go for it on 4th down?
Giants are certainly familiar with this situation. 9 of their 11 games have been played touchdown or less.
Let's see if Elway ends up running on this play.
No, he throws to Wilhite, who is open. And Wilhite takes it to the 9-yard line. 1st and goal, Denver. Byron Hunt ran him out of bounds, and a perfect throw by Elway. Was right in line with us, Merlin. Just led Wilhite. Didn't have to break stride a bit.
Didn't have to move his hands very far. As you watch him now drop back, they're coming with it. All kinds of pressure. You see Martin coming inside. Elway gets that out of there quickly. Byron Hunt, number 57, the linebacker, trying to get out to get his coverage on Wilhite. But the ball is on the 9-yard line. 1st and goal to go.
9 yards away from tying it up. 2:19 left. There's Wilhite, stumbling, falling, crawling. Let's see where they spot the ball.
I think he'll get all of that because no one touched him. Very often on the artificial turf, if you run with your feet low to the turf, you catch that turf with your feet coming forward. And I think that's what Wilhite did. He ended up literally crawling, which is legal as long as he has not been touched.
Well, you watch him again. They allow the game to the 4, and that is the 2-minute timeout at Giants Stadium, where the drama builds. The Giants sitting on a 7-point lead. A key defensive player on the sidelines for the Giants, Jim Burt.
Jerome Sally
has
number
replaced him.
78 in there.
It's 2nd and goal, 4-yard line. There's Sally, who is replacing Burt. Sally's from the University of Missouri. 2 minutes left.
It looked to me like Burt may have strained his back earlier in the game. He was helped off the field once, came back in, but maybe having some back spasms or problems. It looked like he was in pain on the sideline.
Look at Elway's numbers, 305 yards and yet no touchdowns. 2 interceptions, one of those, the difference in the game, 78 yards. Those are the hands of Bill Parcells as he watches the Broncos set up 4 yards away from a tie. Winder, touchdown. Knocked out just a couple of minutes ago. Winder comes back in and scores behind Wilhite's block to make it 16-15.
Well, they asked him a lot of questions on the sideline. He must have given them the right answers. And in so many situations today, the Broncos have not been able to run the ball effectively. They finally get it down to the goal line, and I'm sure caught that New York Giant defense thinking they're going to throw the ball. Twice they ran it, successful both times. They get the touchdown, and now the crucial extra point.
Carlos is 33 for 34 this year. And that one ties it at 16. 1:55 left.
Running to his right, Winder has everyone out in front of him. Getting a good block from the tight end who moved over to that side, Clarence Kay. There's Wilhite with the final block as he's able to spring him open. That's Terry Kennard, 43, that Wilhite was able to lock up on. And Winder just dipped up inside of that marker and out of the end zone.
73 yards in 9 plays. That was the sustained drive of the entire game.
And the only touchdown scored by either offense on the day.
So it'll be up to Phil Simms. He has all 3 timeouts left and a minute 55 to get the Giants at least into field goal range. Allegre has shown a length of leg. He has kicked one from 45 and 46 yards, which means that the Giants' target is the Denver 30 or thereabouts. The way Allegre's kicking the 35. Elway on that drive was 5 for 6 passing and 63 yards.
Well, and you understand now why Elway is picked so high in the polls when they're talking about quarterbacks.
Carlos to McConkey at the 7. He vaults to the 28-yard line. And here comes the Giant offense. This big sellout crowd of 76,000 cheering Simms, who has all of his cards left.
All the timeouts. A minute and 50 on the clock as we go back to look at certainly the most important play of the game for the Denver Bronco offense as they slide it into the end zone, and now the ball is back in New York's court.
Mecklenburg forces the incomplete pass. In fact, that's a lineman out there closest to the ball, Billy Ard, 67.
Someone had knocked Tony Galbraith down. That was a screen pass, and Galbraith had been knocked onto the ground. There was no one there to receive it. Well, it's got to look like it's a long ways into that end zone for Sims as he sits that ball down and looks at it on the 29-yard line. 71 yards of green.
Freddie Gilbert makes the play again. He's been naughty as far as that Giant line is concerned. He's in the cookie jar again.
Third sack of the day as the Denver defense not playing a passive role here at all. Joe Collier said, we're going to go after you. Brad Benson tackling him, couldn't keep him away.
And with it, a timeout with 1:35 left. Our producer Larry Cirillo, our director Ted Nathanson remind us that this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New York Giants and the National Football League is prohibited. That last time out was taken by Denver after the sack. But with 3rd down and 21, the Broncos hoping they can stop the Giants here and get the ball back themselves with plenty of time. 1:35 left. Sims goes deep down the middle to Johnson, and a first down at the 41-yard line. Deja vu. It was Sims to Johnson on 4th down last week at Minnesota that sent them into a field goal that beat the Vikings.
No huddle, and quickly Sims is upfield. He needs it, get it down to about the 30-yard line.
Galbraith to the 48-yard line, and a flag is down. Clock shows 1:03, and it's still running. No, that is not a flag. Someone threw an orange out there. Looks like a yellow flag. That's the Giants' first time out. There it is.
Yuck.
Well, I know a lot of players feel the same, get the same reaction as seeing that man throw the yellow flag, the real thing.
Parcells, I'm sure, just calming Sims down on the sideline, had an interesting conversation with him. He said, you know, that last week before the game against the Vikings, he said, you have been successful because of your daring and your aggressiveness. And he said, I think you've kind of pulled back in. He said, go back out there and scare those cornerbacks and those deep backs. He said, make them stay awake the night we play against them, or the night before we play against them. Well, Sims did it last week. He's thrown some excellent passes today, although he has not been as solid here in the early parts of this game as he was against the Vikings.
That pass last week came on 4th down with the Giants facing defeat 20-19 against the Vikings, and that extended the drive, and Sims eventually got him in position for the field goal by Allegre.
Dick, one of the areas that has not been even so far in this game is first downs. The Broncos with 24, and with that first down, the Giants now have 13. Yardage much more even, but more control at least of that statistic by the Broncos.
Giants have 2 timeouts left. You see just a little over a minute remaining. The ball is at the New York 49. Screen to Galbraith, flag down. Galbraith hit at the 44 of Denver. Clock stops with 57 seconds. Holding Giants. So instead of the ball in Denver territory, Bill Parcells will see the officials mark it back to the New York 39.
63 offense. 2nd down.
Nelson gets the call. When we talked about what happened last week, Merlin, here it is.
4th and 17 yards to go. Jackson out. The rush is on, and Sims throws what has been called now the pass. Just as they used to talk about the fumble. They raved about it all week, and you can see why. A great pass to keep that drive alive.
2nd down and 12. Deep down the middle. McConkey to the 15. They'll let the clock run. 32-31. They're in easy field goal range. 36 yards to McConkey.
Well, Raul Alegre had a chance last week. He won the game for his team. He said he hadn't won a game since he finally got a chance at Indianapolis to kick an extra point, but that's unforgivable for the defense. Steve Wilson and Tony Lilly, the two closest men. McConkey splitting that zone. You can't let that deep receiver open when they've got that much space. And of course, Raul Alegre now saying, wow, 2 weeks, I got another chance here to have my team win a game.
One of the reasons that play was so wide open, Dennis Smith, the safety, was in on a safety blitz. You saw he was the man that was toppled high in the air by a blocker around Sims.
Tony Galbraith.
That opened it up.
Knocked him down. They had the blitz on. They did, and committing a man that way, obviously you expect single coverage downfield, but no one on McConkey as he found an open spot. There goes McConkey, and there are the two defenders. Well, that's the kind you weep over on the way home.
Ball is at the 16-yard line with 28 seconds left, and this is a matter of the Giants just setting up the field goal of Alegre, not taking any chances. Let the clock wind down so Denver has no chance if Alegre should miss.
And in a game turned early by a single play, an interception and a touchdown, what appeared to be a certain overtime situation may end up in a Giant victory.
Sims just getting the ball in the middle of the field, and now they'll let the clock run down. Now we get official word the pass to McConkey was good for 46, not 36 yards. So there have been two passes that Giant fans will well remember. And how about the Giants and their penchant for the close game? 5 games ago, they lost to Seattle at Seattle by 5. Then they beat Washington by 7, beat Dallas by 3, beat Philadelphia by 3, rallied to beat Minnesota by 2, and here they are tied with 17 seconds today. Joe Collier not talking about how to stop Alegre, more reflecting on why we didn't stop McConkey. This was the last Giant timeout, so according to the scoreboard was the last, but here's Sims back in, so maybe that is not the case. They've already set it up right in the center of the field. It's at the 15, so that will be about a 38-yard field goal. Make that 33. And Alegre has hit from 31, 45, and 46, a perfect 3 for 3 today. Now, apparently they have one timeout remaining because Sims will use that right here if needed, unless Denver's going to call it.
Ricky Hundley coming out of that stack with the football. Officials saying the ball had been blown dead, and finally the timeout.
They spot the ball, a yard loss on the play, back to the 17-yard line. Figure 8 yards. Most of them line up 8 yards, not 7 anymore. That would make 17, 8, 25, 35. Might be just under 35 yards. And the pressure now all on the back of the former University of Texas kicker Raul Alegre.
Now, if the Giants were to make a mistake, a bobbled snap, for example, they would not have a timeout here to stop the clock. So if this kick goes off as expected and is successful, they will feel that they did the right thing. But if they were able to bobble it, they would have another down, but no timeout to stop the clock.
Well, he was the star last week at Minnesota, and they put him stage center with a key light here in the Big Apple again today. it's really a little big story today. Little Raul Alegre's 4 field goals and big George Martin's 78-yard rumble. That's been the offense, and the Giants lead 19-16 with 6 seconds left.
And the harsh reality is you'll take them any way you can get them and mark them in the L column.
Our thanks to Constanza's Corps, help in the booth. Messrs. Miller, Sirkuski, Zipkowski, McLaughlin, Myron Hester, and Blackmore. George Martin. Oh my, he is our most valuable player, sponsored by Budweiser. It was his 78-yard touchdown run with an interception, making a marvelous one-handed catch and then racing down the far sidelines. That is the difference in the game today. 4 field goals and Martin's touchdown. Congratulations from Budweiser. The contribution to the United Way on behalf of all of the MVPs around the National Football League made by Budweiser in honor of their performances.
And every bit as hard-nosed a game as we expected, dominated by the 2 defenses, but the critical errors were the difference. And
that's usually reserved for Parcells, that treatment. 4 seconds left. Broncos do not try to run the ball. They get the ball down on change of possession. Jim Ryan receiving that bounding kick, and it's one last shot. Well, we were at
learned
Anaheim Stadium. It's never over until the last
one. It's never over until it's over. And of course, what you have to hope for here is perhaps an interference call deep enough down the field that it keeps the play from ending, the game from ending.
Oh, a final desperation shot for Elway. He's got a strong arm. I'm not sure he can throw it 80 yards though.
Perry Williams about 30 yards downfield. Elway will put it up.
Well, that won't get the job done. Sampson
is trying to get yardage for the field goal, but the game is over. They're out of time.
New York Giants win it 19-16. So the Giants assure themselves at least a tie atop the NFC East, and pressure now on Denver. Their lead down to 1 over the Raiders.